Tim McKernan, how much do you know about the royal family?
I think a decent amount.
Now, you probably know the basics. You know the basics. You know the players, right? You know King Charles. You know Prince Harry. You know Prince William. Who's married to Prince Harry?
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle, right?
Suits.
Right. She was on the show Suits.
Yeah.
Where do they all live?
Buckingham Palace.
Buckingham Palace.
Although Meghan and Harry have been relegated to SoCal.
Mm-hmm. And of course, there's Queen Elizabeth.
Yes.
You know, most people here in America know just the basics about the royals. You know, what they read in the tabloids. Maybe on the news every once in a while when something happens. We don't know that much about the royals. Now, if we lived in England, that's a whole other story. They take their royal family very seriously.
They're into it.
And there's a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding the royals. You know, there's so much we don't know. Speaking of Meghan Markle, there's a rumor that she is a robot.
Well, sure.
Like, she was actually spotted in the audience at a taping of Britain's Got Talent, and they say she didn't blink once or make any facial expressions at all.
Is that correct?
So that's one theory. Meghan Markle is a robot.
Really?
Some people say that King Charles is a vampire.
A vampire?
So apparently genealogy records show that King Charles is a descendant of the 5th century Roman prince Vlad the Impaler. You know, that's the guy who Bram Stoker's Dracula is based off of. The 1897 novel. Old Vlad was famous for impaling so many men on stakes and poles around, I guess, the castle and put them up on hills. It was pretty grotesque.
Tried to send a message to those who would challenge.
Right. In fact, the bodies that were on poles and the heads that were on, these spiked poles, dotted the mountainside where he lived. One conspiracy that's been floating around for a long time is that Prince Harry is not actually King Charles' son. I don't know if you heard that one.
I had not heard that one. What's going on there?
So the rumor is that Prince Harry is actually the son of a guy named James Hewitt. Harry's mom, Princess Diana, and James both admitted to having an affair during her marriage to the now King Charles. And everybody's like, oh, well, Harry doesn't look like the king at all, and he looks more like that guy. So that's been a rumor for a long time. There's the speculation that the royal family planned the car crash that killed Princess Diana.
1997.
So Diana was riding in a car with this guy she was dating, and his name was Dodi Al-Fayed. Dude was filthy rich, owned Harrods, which is, I guess, a big department store over there in England. He owned Ritz-Carlton locations. Harrods, again, this huge store in England. The guy's worth millions upon millions upon millions. Some people say that the car crash that killed Diana was the royal family's ploy to prevent Diana from marrying Dodi. He's an Egyptian Muslim. They didn't want her giving birth to his child. That was the whole thing. But my friend, Tim, we are not going to talk about any of that stuff today.
What do we have?
Today on Stupiracy, we're going to talk about my favorite of the royal conspiracy theories. Queen Elizabeth, the beloved queen, was a cannibal. That is the topic of today's Stupiracy. All right, so today's Stupiracy, it's about Queen Elizabeth II being a cannibal. I'm going to officially put it up on the board.
It's going up on the board, and once it goes up on the board, it can never go away. Queen Elizabeth was a cannibal, is now officially on the Stupiracy board. I have never heard this one.
Our beloved Elizabeth II. She was born on April 12th, 1926. She was Queen of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms from February 6, 1952 until her death in 2022. Her reign of 70 years and 214 days is the longest of any British monarch or female monarch for that matter. So how did she live so long? How did she last so long? She was 96 years old. Was it because she dined on human flesh?
I mean, I feel like we're aggressively jumping to conclusions, but I would imagine you're going to present one hell of a case.
She dined on human flesh, and that's what some people think. Some people think it's actually been a long rumor that the British royals altogether had a taste for human flesh.
That's their thing.
Yeah.
Tell me more, if you would.
So this goes back a long time. In a book on medicinal cannibalism, there was a book written about this.
When was this book authored?
It's a while ago.
Okay.
It is said that as recently as the end of the 18th century, British royalty swallowed parts of the human body. The author actually says it wasn't just the royals who did it. It was actually something that the rich in Europe did. They applied, they drank or wore powdered Egyptian mummy, like stuff they would get, from the tombs and stuff. Powdered Egyptian mummy.
So they would dine upon ancient people.
They would do that. They would dine on human fat, on human flesh, bone, blood, brains, skin, all that stuff. Now, King Charles II, who reigned from 1660 to 1685, he was into what they call corpse medicine.
Corpse medicine.
He even made his dad, Charles I, into medicine.
Hold on a second. He made his father, he made him into medicine.
When the father died, so corpse medicine, I mean, it is what it sounds like, using a corpse for medicinal purposes.
You take like the juices?
I'll get to that in a second.
I always jump ahead. It's not fair.
King Charles II actually had a lab.
Is that right?
His own kind of lab where he did this stuff. There was also Francis I. There was William III. Survived well into the 18th century during the time of Queen Victoria. So during the real popular time of this, bodies or bones were usually taken from Egyptian tombs, as we talked about it a second ago, European graveyards. Not only that, but into the 18th century, one of the biggest imports from Ireland into Britain, human skulls.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
They were importing human skulls.
Now, over in Europe, when criminals were beheaded, their blood was used to treat epilepsy.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Now, King Charles II, he often distilled human skull himself in his private laboratory, or as I would say in England, laboratory.
I like that. I like that pronunciation. Hold on a second. When you say distilled,
I don't know exactly what that means.
I asked too many follow-ups.
I don't know. Distilled, I don't know. Boiled it down, made it into some kind of powder. I don't know.
The thing is, you could have said anything. I would have gone, no, all right.
I know, they distill gin. I don't know how we...
But we're distilling human
skulls.
Right.
So the medicine that he made was known as the King's Drops.
The King's Drops. Mm-hmm. I feel like we ought to put a patent on that.
King Charles II in his lab would distill the human skulls to make this medicine called the King's Drops. It was used for convulsions, diseases of the head, epilepsy, and often as emergency treatment for those who are dying. When Charles II got real sick back in 1685, at the start of his last illness, the first thing he wanted the King's Drops. Like he knew he was dying. This is the last medicine somebody would take. Maybe it'll make him better.
This is the Hail Mary to try and save his life.
Get me the King's Drops. It was not only used on his deathbed, but that of Queen Mary's in 1698. It sounds silly. But wait till you hear the evidence when it comes to Queen Elizabeth.
Okay.
So if you want to read more about this corpse medicine stuff, and especially with the royals involved, you could read the book called Mummies, Cannibals, and Vampires.
Yep.
Which I know after we record this podcast, you will run out.
I'll be sitting down and it'll be all over my Kindle.
Yep. So listen, we'll take a break. And when we come back on Stupiracy, we'll really talk about our beloved Queen Elizabeth II and how she continued the royal traditions of corpse medicine until the very end of her life. All right, welcome back to Stupiracy. Today's topic, Queen Elizabeth II was a cannibal. Now, here we go with the theory. The rumor started making the rounds back around 2019. Now, this is when the Queen was a spry and spunky 92-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so how at the age of 92 could this woman show no signs of slowing down? 92 years old. How did she do it? It's got to be something that we don't know about. Now, the story goes, here's the evidence.
Okay.
Here's the evidence. The story goes that on a casual day at Buckingham Palace, an electrician was called in to fix an electrical problem on Queen Elizabeth's private freezer.
The private freezer.
The royal freezer. Now, being that she's the Queen, she has special privileges that us commoners do not have. She uses these privileges in a dark and ghastly manner. The electrician that day found something unbelievable in that freezer. So he opens up the freezer, he's checking the temperature of inside. I'm assuming it's a big walk-in freezer.
Yeah, I would imagine. This isn't like what we had in our frat dorm.
He's tinkering outside. He thinks he's got it right, thinks he's got it all fixed, goes in to check the temperature. Hey, is this thing still keeping things cold? So he goes in the freezer and he finds strips of meat that are packed tightly in a plastic seal, which, all right, it's a freezer. Everybody's got meat in plastic bags in the freezer. That's normal. I got meat in a plastic bag.
Delicious, wonderful treat. Right. Save for later.
Everybody's got that. That's not what was unbelievable. It was what was behind the normal meat. So at first, the electrician thought it was like pig parts.
Oh, no.
But upon further inspection, it turned out to be a forearm, a leg, and the chest of a male. All parts from a human body in the Queen's freezer. Now, why would the Queen consume human flesh? Of course, because human flesh is considered to have a ton of spiritual energy and nutrients. The nutrients and the spiritual energy, that's what keeps her young. People also say that she eats people because of her position, her position of power. It makes her feel even more powerful as the Queen.
It's the ultimate cucking.
Right.
I'm above you. I shall dine upon you.
Eat you.
Right.
And what are you going to do about it? Because I'm the Queen.
Yeah.
But what if she was caught? What if she was caught? Isn't eating people against the law?
Yeah. What's the policy on this?
Yes, it is against the law. And we'll take a break. We'll take our second break here, and I'll explain when we get back. So she's got a Queen loophole when it comes to eating people. The Queen's loophole when it comes to cannibalism. More Stupiracy next. All right, welcome back to Stupiracy. We're talking about the beloved Queen Elizabeth II before she passed away.
This is a wonderful tribute to her.
She was a cannibal. Or so people thought.
Yeah. Council has instructed us.
So people, and in fact, Queen Elizabeth comes from a long line of cannibals. All right, yes, it is illegal to eat people, pretty much everywhere.
That's right. I do agree with the pretty much. I do think it still is in vogue in some lands.
I'm sure there's a couple remote islands somewhere in the South Pacific where,
Sure.
Where eating people is commonplace. I don't know. I've never been there.
Right. Lord of the Flies, they got down.
I've never been there.
Right.
It's illegal, obviously, here in the U.S. It's illegal across the pond in England. But if the Queen ate people, could she go to jail if she was caught? So at the time, back in 2019, the royal family's website said, and I quote, "Although civil and criminal proceedings cannot be taken against the sovereign as a person of the UK law, the Queen is careful to ensure that all her activities in her personal capacity, they're carried out in strict accordance with the law." So basically, as a sovereign, she is not subject to laws. As a sovereign, she could do basically whatever she wants. Although she says she wouldn't do anything against the law. I mean, sure, she could say that. She could say that she wouldn't do anything against the law, but if she were caught, she could just say, sovereign, all good.
So she could season up any gentleman she would like and dine upon him.
Basically.
Wow.
Now, in England, in all criminal cases where cannibalism has taken place, the charge is always murder. But since the Queen holds such a high position in the UK, she would have to be caught killing or kidnapping somebody in order to be arrested. First off, she's not doing any of that stuff herself. Like, she's got people.
She's got the people.
You think Queen Elizabeth is going out kidnapping people?
No.
Herself?
Henchmen. Henchmen galore is what I would say.
She's got people to do that. And regardless, she still benefits from the sovereign immunity.
Yeah, she's good. If she did want to go out and look for a gentleman to dine upon. Or a lady.
Yeah, and you know, the people who believe this are saying, you think she's getting the body parts and the bodies from England? No, she's shipping this stuff in from overseas.
Only the finest meats.
She's not dining on English men or women. No, that's too close. She could get caught. She's bringing them in from overseas.
Overseas. These are imports.
These are not English body parts she's dining on. Who knows where they're coming from? Now, aside from all that stuff, Queen Elizabeth also had a jagged set of teeth.
Really?
In an interview with in an interview with a carpenter who worked with the royal family, and this is even before they found the body parts in the freezer. He said, quote, "I'd hate to be bitten by the Queen. Her chompers remind me of the savage character in Moby Dick, whose teeth were pin-like and sharpened to tear into any kind of meat. What does she do with those things? Does she file them like that?"
So hold on, we got the electrician who's handling the refrigerator,
right?
And now we got the carpenter who's observing that she's got a dental situation.
She's got a weird set of like flesh-ripping teeth.
She's being betrayed by the hardworking Brits who have come to service the castle.
Yeah, so you got the carpenter, you got the electrician.
Right.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the electrician that day is not really with us anymore.
So we can't have him as a guest, pull him up.
No, he is gone.
He did his interview and he shut her down.
I don't know if he's been.
Oh, you think he was? Oh,
I'm not saying that. Just nobody could find the guy.
Wow. I see.
But he
they
swears
put him in the desert.
Maybe. He's swimming in the Thames somewhere. I don't know, with concrete shoes.
Where is this carpenter available? Can we have him join us?
Also not available.
No.
Also not available. So, do you buy it? I mean, the Queen was pretty spunky up until the end.
She was. Wonderful cameo in The Naked Gun, circa 80. I'm going to say 86, 87, 80. That was
not her. She was in, I think, the latest Paddington movie as herself, as the Queen, looking pretty spry.
She did. I mean, how can I argue with the carpenter and the electrician? May they, of course, rest in peace.
Maybe rest in peace. I don't know. They could be on a vacation somewhere.
Dungeon somewhere.
Who knows?
Maybe they're at the castle. Maybe they're in the refrigerator.
In some high tower.
Right.
Out there in London.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Banished to Scotland. I don't know.
Was there a dark side to the Queen? There's so much that goes on behind those palace walls that we will never know about.
Boy, I just thought it was kind of ABC poker. We're going to spread some lies about you in the newspaper. I had no idea that we're going to eat you.
Yep. We will never know the truth.
The Queen, a cannibal.
Could you believe it?
My goodness.